How does a person know how to balance him or herself between matter and spirit? I don't know. The person doesn't know. The person learns out of studying reality that there are 5 worlds. The lowest is our world, the material world. All the other worlds are spiritual worlds where there's no matter like there is here, only desires, forces, thoughts. And if in our world it seems to us that we can control matter, one who elevates to a higher level above our world already realizes that matter is an effect. It is activated, and we can't control it. As in the example I gave, that all is inside man. Who to marry, where to work, what one's profession will be, everything is sealed from the inside. It already is. But if you want to change it, you need to elevate to the level above you, where all these preparations were made for you and planted in you from above, the way it descended and entered into your body. And then, when you are at the root, from there you can change. But in our state, in our life, you will never be able to change anything. Look at the whole of human history. You can look at anyone. A person could be poor, could be wealthy, could be strong, healthy. It doesn't matter who. It could be somebody who is wise, and still they're unable to do anything with their lives. Talk to your elders. You ask them. They'll say, so, life went by. No one can control matter. We are now in the opposite state, where the whole world, with all of its technology and its economy and whatnot, is in a total lack of understanding of how to exist further, what to do, how to survive, and to be saved from the lack of understanding, where we're in a terrible state, which is the furthest from balance. And what can help us? Control over matter? Nothing. Because matter is only an effect. This means that before we acquire knowledge and power, to be and to change anything at a level which is a bit higher than matter, we won't have a moment of rest. The world will just seem worse and worse for every generation that comes. Call it spirit. Why is it called spirit? If we don't see our clothing, it's called spirit. Well, meaning matter itself. Take man. Remove all of the flesh and bones and whatever is on him, and what remains of him. The fact that you can't see it with your eyes, that you can't smell it with your nose, that you can't grab hold of it, but it actually is the person and not the flesh. Flesh, we already know how to replace, how to hide it, how to make it. Go ahead, you can replace anything inside of a person, and the person will remain, meaning that the flesh doesn't mean anything. Our problem is that we do not know this power which is inside of man, which is called man. And we don't know the forces that act on us either, on this inner person that's inside of us. We don't know. Because when we relate to the world of our surrounding reality, we relate to substances. Inanimate, vegetative living. We don't relate to the forces that are acting. Whoever elevates to the level of seeing forces in reality and forces in people, he or she is in control. Man can't control anything. Let's not delude ourselves. Not our thoughts, not our feelings, nothing. And if a person tries to control one thing, then it turns out to be at the expense of something else. That's not called control. What is control? I need to hear from you that to drink this kind of water is healthier and more beneficial than that kind of water. So then I start, meaning I choose one over the other. And this is called that I control. I control one desire. I take instead of it another desire and I use that one. This isn't control. True control is that I reach the spiritual world, a higher level above my reality. I observe my reality from there, and then I choose what is good. That's called control. Look, as much as we reveal in nature through all of our research and any kind of science, we only discover one thing, that everything behaves according to a definite, predetermined, absolute set of laws that never change. Everything works according to cause and effect. Everything is organized according to formulas. So what are you going to change? Where do you want to penetrate and determine anything? And according to what intelligence? No, I don't understand that either. It is impossible. Tell me, is there anything in our lives, even at the human level, thoughts, desires, hormones, genes, or the laws of quantum physics, no matter what, where we can change anything? We only study the way that it exists. To cause a change is only possible from the root, where all of the results in this world are. They're in the beginning, where all things are born, where there is a causal level. If you enter there, if you can be there, only then you can cause a change. Why does everyone run for government? Because from there you determine what will later happen in the field. That's it. That's what we need to reach. And if the point in the heart was open for someone, and if he or she feels that they have some connection, some impulse to something more, something slightly higher, a higher state, it means that the person can attain it. It's the sign that you can be elected to government, so to speak, to set the rules, to change the situation. And that's what we have to achieve. All the disasters and the troubles, all of the things that happen to us, one way or another, that cause us to be unsatisfied with life, they're all there in order to push us, to elevate a little and to control reality. These are messages that want to awaken us so that we will have a need for this control, and man has to reach it, and the wisdom of Kabbalah says that each and every person will eventually reach it. Thought has no speed. Its speed is simply infinite, zero time, infinite speed. And that's how thought functions. Why? Take each and every cell of your body, the way that it connects with all of the other cells. The information is transferred at an infinite speed. It's also like that between all of the parts of the universe. The information, the knowledge, expands at an endless speed. Otherwise, there would be no rules at all. What are the laws that we discover? We reveal the entire system, how it's constructed and how it moves. If it is moving, then it is moving towards a balance, at a certain velocity. Stars, planets, all sorts of objects, gases, other things. We discover laws that are not random, indicating that everything is connected to everything. And this whole system knows everything about itself. It's not that an explosion occurred here, and later on some information from this explosion will reach the other end in so many years. It's not the speed of light that comes out of the explosion. I'm talking about information. Information expands at an infinite velocity, and its power is also the greatest infinite frequency. And that's how it is in our body. So whoever reaches the level of thoughts, the level of intentions, is considered to be in control. Once some knowledge of Kabbalah is attained, everything begins to be understood. I wish for you to open your eyes and to see the spiritual world, and from there to start determining everything in this world. The thought of creation is to give to his creatures. Reality is a single thought that doesn't change. It is a thought of bestowal, of the bestowal of goodness. If we don't relate to that thought, which includes the whole of reality, in an equal way, we enter into some imbalance with it. According to the extent of the imbalance, we suffer. We just don't realize it, don't feel it, and even when we hear about it, we just hear. And if we could feel that it is so, we would make a change. So our problem is to open our eyes and to see that it's so. The wisdom of Kabbalah helps a person to see, and once we see, we would certainly want to correct it. You could put your hand in a fire, or you could jump off the 10th story, but you won't do it, because if you see that by not doing it, it's better for you, so then, to give or to receive, whatever it is, you will do what's good for you, and that's the end of it. So our entire problem is to see what is now concealed from us. And then there won't be a problem. And then you'll be a good kid. You'll do everything necessary for your own good. And all of the difficulty is just in opening your eyes. If all is written, then why make an effort? It's not written when you will cross. I can now be done with this entire path and achieve balance with the upper power, with the benevolent thought of creation, and enter this spiritual nirvana. Literally, good, benevolent, wholeness, eternity, just constantly being in an adventure that never ends. I can do it now, or I can suffer through 20 more incarnations, and that's the difference. After the point in the heart opens in a person, then the person really becomes accountable. Anyone who still doesn't have a point in the heart lives, for the meantime, as an animal, not really having any free choice. The person lives the way he or she lives, and is born according to his or her hormones, genes, moving forward until they end their life. This is also how we've been living in previous incarnations. From the moment that you're given a point in the heart, which is called a divine part from above, it means that you were given a point from a state that's opposite to you. When you evaluate your heart, which is the sum of your attributes, against this point, which is from a state that is opposite to you, from the external reality, that thought of giving, of bestowing, then you can already make a comparison and learn what it is that you have to equalize yourself with and what you're drawn to. Before a person has this possibility of making this comparison, there's nothing that can be required of the person. The person is simply only in their nature and is considered to be like an animal. Once the person has these two discernments inside, the person starts to sense something disturbing, uncomfortable. Not knowing what it is, the person can't find an answer in this world because this point is located in the external reality, which is part of the upper world at a higher level. So from the moment the person is given these 2 points that already exist in him or her, the person begins to ask and to demand, and from then on the person is considered as having a choice. You are actually the only person, or one of the single people, that can change their destiny. Is it possible to take children and to awaken the point in the heart before it appears? It is almost impossible, meaning that a person actually must evolve and suffer until this point awakens in him or her. Body, meaning this flesh, seems to us that it exists. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in this way. That's how you sense that it exists. You have such senses that you feel that it exists. Even if we look through the eyes of a dog, for example, through the senses of a dog, or the senses of some other creature, we would see ourselves in a very different way from how we see ourselves. A dog sees us as a sort of cloud of different smells. We know this. Meaning that we have no body. There are forces. And when we grasp it that way, it's because we're built in such a way that we grasp it like that. But it doesn't really exist. We learn this also in today's morning lesson, that nothing exists except for the upper reality, the thought of creation. The thought of creation to benefit each and every created being. And we're included in this thought, in equality of form and in balance. That's the only thing that we are in. All of the worlds, including this world, are a concealment over our senses. We're already in the best possible state that exists, in the only state that exists. And we only have one problem. We have blurred senses. We can't sense that state, but we sense something much less than that. We've got to clean our senses, awaken, to rise, to get up, and feel the true state. Nothing changes except for the perception of reality, the grasping of that. Nothing else changes. Meaning that what really changes is that part in us that perceives reality. Besides that, there is nothing. Therefore, if you think about changing anything except yourself, it's just a mistake. Nothing will help you. You can't change anything. And that's the only thing that the world is suffering from. It keeps accumulating bitter experiences in order to eventually realize that that doesn't help and that that's not the way. But we need only to correct our senses. And that's it. And believe me, you will see an entirely different picture, that you're at the end of correction in eternity and wholeness. And I have no words for it. And the body? There is no body. This world? There is no this world. It's pure imagination. Through thoughts, through our desires, through our mind, we can achieve anything. The speed of thought is infinite, not the speed of light. Thoughts expand at an infinite speed. The power of thought can penetrate through any matter with no limitations. We can definitely attain complete control over reality. Gradually, you'll see that these concealments that are called worlds, they simply vanish, and everything becomes transparent. And there's nothing besides light that fills everything. Even those who experience clinical death tell us about it. They also say that there's nothing. They still see themselves there on the operating table, but actually they're already elevating and becoming included in the light. The fact that we're not even able to even feel the upper reality a bit and to observe ourselves as from the side, that's a problem. And that's why I said that once a person's eyes are opened, then it becomes okay. The person already knows what to do. So our problem is to reach an opening of the eyes. You just stop sensing it. How? Well, sometimes it happens that you really just stop feeling your body, and you can be in some kind of a euphoria. Nothing is hurting you, yeah? So, it's possible to feel that way for a moment. So, if it's possible for a moment, then it's possible for all of time. And the degree of correction that you reach, according to this, you neutralize what is called your body, to the extent that you don't exist. You're not present. You cross the barrier between life and death. Through this, you open up a spiritual world that you enter. You simply stop being attached to it. It stops being a factor for you. But for now, keep it.